they just sent a complaint. Not sure, right?
Okay, everyone, welcome back. I'm actually really excited about this piece and session for Domainfest, and I hope you are too. This is actually our third annual PITCHfest. And the way this will work is we actually had 28 groups submit applications to present today. And that's up from 22 last year, so I think we're gaining some momentum. And from that 28, we actually chose 10 finalists. Those 10 finalists today will present in 3 minutes their new business idea to our panel of judges. There will be no follow-up questions after the 3-minute pitch, and we'll give the judges 1 minute to jot down their score in 4 different categories, and then we'll move on to the next finalist. So obviously, one of the important things here is that the presenter has to be concise, clear, and compelling. Now, what we would like is for each of you to also score, because we are going to have 2 awards at the end of this panel. We're going to have a Judges Award, and we're also going to have a People's Choice Award. So as you hear the pitches, please note for each pitch how you would score them, 0 to 25, with 25 being the highest, on creativity, viability, meaning market viability, originality, and revenue potential. So again, creativity, viability, originality, and revenue potential. And at the end, you'll tally up who you vote for, and we'll actually have a text message that we'll put on the screen, and you can email and or text message your vote, and we'll tally up who is the People's Choice Award. Okay, at this point, I want to introduce our esteemed panel of judges. Here to my left, immediately, we have Jeff Cohn. Next to Jeff is Scott Jarus. Next to Scott is Ben Quo, and on the far side we have John Morris. Let's get started. Okay, the first pitch is going to be Elliot Labreche, and the company is Akashic. It's a cloud computing concept. I don't know if I messed that name up.
It's okay. Get it? Is this in slideshow mode? Okay. So how do you get paid for basically doing nothing? Well, you can put your computer to work. Statistics show that 90% of our hard drives are underutilized or open right now. And let's talk about computing. 90% or 99%, according to statistics, are still idle. But you see, these resources have value. And at Akashic, we're going to bring these resources to the cloud market. Introducing Akashic Cloud Computing powered by paid participants. Now, what the cloud is, I want you to imagine an interconnected web of computers all over the world. And what Akashic is fundamentally is online file storage. Now, there are 2 revenue streams here, one of which we are paying contributors to dedicate their unused hard drive space, and of course we compensate them for that. And then there are customers, people who are looking to store their files online for a dramatically reduced rate. So how does Akashic work, you might ask? Well, once you upload a file to our cloud, it is broken down into small chunks, and this is spread among the infrastructure that we have created. Now you might ask, what happens if a contributor decides that they no longer want to be a part of the contribution with Akashic? Well, our code using eraser code and hash coding will organically regenerate what's lost, so there is legitimately 0 failure rate here. So why use the system? Well, it's much cheaper than the current business model. We all know how expensive servers are and how expensive it is to maintain servers. It's also much faster. The collective power of millions of computers really trumps any speed that any point-to-point link might have. Also, we're extremely reliable, and we do not depend on utility resources that may drive a data center. It's also extremely secure, and it's almost impossible for someone to reverse engineer any of our files. So why contribute to the system? Well, as a contributor, you can earn cash. It's easy and quiet. It's not similar to a torrent because it's in small bits. You can easily and uninstructively generate your files. There's also no commitment, and we realize that our contributors are going to be unreliable. So how does this make money? Well, we basically just make the margin between what the customer pays and what we are paying to contributors. In a scenario where there's deduplication, this is how Dropbox makes most of their money. For example, if customer A and customer B have the avatar file, which is 20 gigabytes in size, we don't necessarily need to store both of those files, but we can charge customers 2 times. So this market, it is huge. It's dominated by Amazon S3, currently operating about 50% of the market. And these big companies, they look scary. So how can a couple of guys in a garage compete with them? Well, it's our own story, and we're the disruptive startup thing to make that happen. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm chosen to be bad cop. I hate to interrupt. It was a good presentation, but you get 3 minutes. And Aaron, can you just please give me the signal because I couldn't hear a bell. A little bit louder. Okay, thanks. Okay. Next, we have Dr. George Lucas. His company is Wealth Investors.
Thank you, Scott. 2012. Has there ever been a year that had more questions associated with it? What's it going to bring? Well, there's several ideas in terms of what is ahead. It could be what we saw in 2012, the movie, right? That was a lot more fun to watch in 2009 and 2010 than it is right now. Don't like the tidal wave thing. Of course, that's all behind that doomsday Mayan calendar that the world's going to end in December. Then, about 1,000 miles north of here, there's something called Yellowstone. And it's actually a giant, it has a magma chamber underneath it that's about 40,000 years late in exploding. We have, at Wealth Investors, what we feel for 2012 is a much more thrilling story, and that is achieving success by capitalizing on the built-in traffic associated with expiring domain names, and then helping our consumers, our customers, move immediately to generate revenue from that. As we started to roll this out several months ago, we realized that it takes a right brain and left brain approach. And I'll walk you through both of those. Real quickly, the direct sales concept and our proof of success, it's real simple. Lead generators, feed salespeople, take our prospects to the webinar, turned over to the salespeople contact them to gain commitment, and our model was based on an 8-to-1 success ratio. We're experiencing a 2.5-to-1 success ratio associated with those webinar watches. You also have to realize the right brain side of this. We have a massive number of consumers out there in pain today, and they're looking for alternative approaches to wealth and income. We've got that proven success formula that I just laid out for you. And at Wealth Investors, we pulled together an amazing team that has technical sales, marketing, and seminar, and I would add publishing expertise to go along with it. Conservatively, there are about 14.9 million consumers out there who are entrepreneurs looking for non-traditional success, and we talk about helping them conquer their success phobia. Real quickly, this is what our investor ROI looks like over the next 5 years based on that model. And here's where we are on February 1st, 2012. We've cleared the initial startup hurdle where about 50% fail. We're in the process of raising the final capital associated with our 506D. We're going to be self-sustaining and profitable by the end of the year. We're hiring right now additional lead generation and professional salespeople. We're launching our national marketing and PR campaign along with our seminars, and the exit strategy is for a buyout or IPO in the next 36 months. To that I say, let's all go to St. Martin, because in 2012, we are going to see that magma chamber of consumers out there who are seeking wealth break through the crust and into your all's world of domaining. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
judges.
All right. Aaron, just to clarify, is the bell the end, or is that the sign of 1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay, for future contestants, when you hear the bell, you have 60 seconds. Aaron, when the 60 seconds end, please raise your hand so we're all on the same page. Thank you. Okay, next we have Ju Yen. The company is Stratosquare. Come on up, Ju.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. I want to talk about something that affects everyone in this room. Investing has become increasingly complex over the past recent years. There's been endless offers out from banks and brokerages to have you open new accounts, retirement accounts, 401k accounts, your trading, your investment accounts. But it's so hard to track these things now. It's so difficult to understand what they actually mean. They're so scattered. They're just not connected. 80% of the households in the United States have at least one financial account. And 1/3 of that have at least 2 investment accounts. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here today to tell you that my team built the most powerful yet intuitive investment tool offering to the public. Today I introduce you to Stratosquare. Stratosquare is a web-based platform that allows you to consolidate all your accounts into just one simple screen. I don't care if you have 3, 5, 10, 50 accounts. It'll just be in one simple screen, nice and simple. One of the features that my team and I really looked into is, what if I wanted to see a geographical map of where I'm exposed in the world? Parts of Europe is going through a crisis right now. Are you exposed there? Asia, where it's growing, emerging markets? What about asset allocation breakdown by industry and sector? Exactly how much technology or Apple stock do you own? What about commodities and Exxon? Those are only some of the things that Stratosquare will eventually be able to tell you. And what's particularly magical to me, what's very exciting, is that this tool will be able to tell you and educate you about yourself, about your investment personality. What we want to do at the end of the day is provide the transparency that us on Main Street are hoping to get from Wall Street. Stratosquare is able to break these things down for you and show you exactly what you deserve. Investment tools like this cost a lot of money. Competitors are around $200 or $300 on average per month. But because we built Stratosquare from the ground up, we're able to offer it free to the public for a basic subscription, and only for a fraction of the price for our competitors for the professional subscription. We also want to partner with brokerage firms for advertisement revenue, and also we want to partner with investment media companies such as CNBC, Morningstar, to get their live content via video or articles. More than ever, investors will have a complete control over how they invest, exactly how they're performing. With Stratosquare, we're going to lead that path of transparency that my team and I deeply believe that everyone deserves. So my name is Jian Wei, and I'm a founding partner of Stratosquare, and thank you and appreciate the time. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ju. Okay, next, John Carabas. Company is Babafu.
So, hi, my name is John Carabas, and I am the co-founder of Babafu. So you're probably wondering, what does Babafu mean? Well, actually, my mom came up with the name, and it actually stands for the first letters of basketball, baseball, and football. So what is Babafu? Babafu is essentially LinkedIn for high school athletes. It's a social networking website for high school athletes to connect, gain exposure, and share their sports experiences with the rest of the world. Athletes come to our site to basically create their sports resumes by uploading highlight videos, pictures, stats, articles, detailed background information, and posting status updates. So let's take a quick look at some key metrics. We actually launched the site about 3 months ago and haven't spent any money on marketing yet. If you look at the market, we've got about 10 million high school athletes in the United States and Canada alone, with countless fans and family members. We've got about 1,300 registered users so far, showing about 40% weekly engagement, and we're seeing about 25,000 monthly page views right now. So let's quickly take a look at the site. Here we have Adrian Maloney Jr., a high school basketball player from Wichita, Kansas. So this is his homepage. This is where you see all of his status updates, where he talks about everything from what's going on the court to what's going on in school. It's a great way to keep up to date with Adrian on a daily and weekly basis. So if you were to go to the site, if you look at his profile picture in the top right there, you can click on his videos tab, see all of his highlight videos. He can upload directly to our site, or he can link from sites such as YouTube. He's got a photos tab, a news tab, where he can link and upload articles from all over the internet. It's a great way to store them in one easy central location. And then he's got an info tab where basically as a coach or a fan, you're going to find all the detailed information you would want about Adrian. So the question is, why are athletes like Adrian going to be using our site? Babafoo is the place for high school athletes to promote themselves in a professional manner, while at the same time, they're also going to be creating a one-stop shop for coaches and fans. And unlike traditional recruiting sites, Babafoo has something to offer athletes of all skill levels. So now if we look at how we're going to make money, we're going to make money through advertising, sponsorships, microtransactions, and connecting high school athletes and their parents with useful resources such as SAT tutors, personal coaches, and personal trainers. So quickly on to our team. The co-founders are myself and Russell Lakey, who are actually both former lawyers and former high school and college athletes with a ton of connections in the high school sports world. We've got a great advisory board led by the founder of Stamps.com, Ari Engelberg, and a great three-man team of working on the website on a daily basis. And finally, we're out there right now trying to raise about $750,000 to grow and expand the company and take over the high school sports world. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next up is Troy Rushton, and the company is called Protrata.
Hi, I'm Troy Rushton, CEO and founder of Winged Media, or Protrata as many might know it as. We've tried to solve two key problems that face the domain industry today. The first problem is liquidity, and the second problem is monetization. So in terms of solving liquidity, we've built a domain aftermarket where we've consolidated all the marketplaces from GoDaddy through to Cedo, Namejet and the likes, and we do that on a monthly subscription model where we take commission for any sales that we generate. In addition to that, we've also developed a semantic website builder. Using our technology, domainers can rapidly deploy a domain that gets traffic and gets indexed. Our ultimate goal is to deliver a valued experience for the user. We've got rid of the cloud, the whole model about templates. We've deleted those models so that the cloud is a very powerful way to be able to deploy websites on scale. This is a problem we've found from previous people who have attempted to do mass scalable web development. So no templates, and we're on the cloud. We use semantic understanding to understand what a domain's all about. Once we understand a domain, we can better match content and revenue models. For example, we have lead generation, we have content matching, we have CPA, CPL, and CPM sort of models. Understanding the domain it ultimately gives us the better opportunity to deliver a valued experience for our user. We have subscription models, a revenue share, we take development fees, and on a percentage. We sell domain development for $10 a year. That includes the hosting. So it's a very cost-effective way for domainers to actually deploy large portfolios of sites. We've got more than 50,000 sites already developed on the platform, and we've been getting great traction this show. Thanks very much. I'm Troy Rushton, Protrata.
Thanks, Troy. Time to spare, even. That's good. Okay, Patrick Hong is next, and the company is called Pronostic.
It's called Pronostic. Close. So companies spend millions of dollars trying to build consumer awareness on TV, in magazines, or even through social networks, or even attend seminars like this, trying to get some PR marketing value out of their company and their products. But at what point does all that effort equate to sales? A well-known marketing innovator in last century said, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. The solution, Pronostic. So what's the market potential for this kind of an industry? Well, it's estimated to about $20 billion. And for our prognostic, what we're trying to do is go after the automotive PR first, and then we'll grow into PR analytics across different industries, like consumer electronics, wealth management, or fast food even. And then we go upscale to build more general PR and marketing analytics. That's in total about $20 billion. So how does prognostic work? It's a cloud computing software platform, so the software is a service, a subscription, so you pay a monthly fee. In essence, you feed any data, a big data, from number of followers on Twitter or to number of viewers, impressions on TV, and without patent-pending math modeling, we're able to relate and quantify which outlets that has the most impact on sales. Just like Apple, they want to bring technology to more consumer. We want to bring business intelligence to the CEOs and heads of marketing, where no special skills are necessary, because usually in business intelligence, you need to have an army of business analysts or programmers to query database. So the prognostic, we can give you some information, analytics about sales per dollar per marketing. We want to address quality over quantity, and we want to identify action levers that actually drive your sales. Our management team consists of experienced executives in media, software development, and mathematics. And we recently gained a lot of traction. Our first pilot customer is Audi of America, and we hope to finish Nissan, or sign up Nissan in the next couple weeks. Prognostic, we're ready to launch. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Ran Carmi, and the company is iPredict.
Can commercial displays be subtle yet obvious? iPredict helps to strike this delicate balance and improve effectiveness. My name is Ran Carmi, and I'm the founder of iPredict. Earlier in my career, I served in other B2B software companies before they were acquired or went public. In academia, I earned a PhD in neuroscience and won the Best Paper Award at a major international conference in the field. I also led technology commercialization at Caltech, where I recruited our R&D team. Speaking of which, our CTO is exceptionally brilliant, even for a Caltech graduate. Here's a glimpse into what we can do.
This is a demo of how EP Flow can be used to optimize catalogs. First, we enter a URL that includes the catalog to be optimized. EP Flow then downloads the catalog and detects the items. The next step is to select a target to be optimized. Let's say we want to bring this Lakers jersey to the attention of consumers. Once we run EP Flow, the underlying software engine generates and evaluates thousands of alternative displays. This engine is powered by computer models that predict visual attention based on neuroscience research. The end result is an optimized catalog in which the target, the Lakers jersey, is more likely to get noticed. Looking at the catalog, the naked eye can rarely tell that the optimized version is much better than the original. Let's look at some validation data. In this example, we showed either catalog A or catalog B to 500 consumers and asked them to select items of interest. The results show that the click-through rate of the target in the optimized catalog increased by 175%. Other factors being equal, these results mean that EP Flow can more than double profits by bringing relevant items to the attention of consumers.
So people often ask me how our technology works. Between us, God speaks to me and tells me how to position products. As a backup plan, I've spent the last 10 years of my life researching visual attention and developing predictive models. Let's look at our online opportunity. The addressable market is $400 million in the US alone. International deployments are easy, given that our optimizations are web-based and language independent. The competitive landscape includes solutions based on human measures or computer predictions. EP Flow is differentiated by a unique combination of scalability and actionability. We make money from subscriptions and rev shares. Our achievements include a licensing offer from a Fortune 200 customer and a Small Business Innovation and Research Award from the National Science Foundation. I'm here to build relationships with new customers, investors, and team members. So if you're interested, let's talk.
Thanks, Ron. And I thought he just talked to me. Okay, Darren Marble, company is Film Break.
Good afternoon. I'm Darren Marble, CEO of Film Break, and I'm here today to talk about the future of filmmaking. Hollywood as we know it is archaic, slow, opaque, and ripe for disruption. Enter Film Break, a radical new online funding and distribution platform for filmmakers. We make the filmmaking process faster, easier, and more efficient. We're like AngelList for the entertainment industry. And what makes us innovative is that Film Break is the only online service that will offer a fully integrated solution that solves the 4 filmmaking challenges of connections, financing, promotion, and distribution. Having raised $100,000 to date, we launched in November with a collaboration platform that allows filmmakers to share ideas, build teams, and communicate with their cast and crew. Now we're extending our platform with an online marketplace that connects buyers and sellers of independent films and allows filmmakers to raise more money than is currently possible on crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter. Investor presence will drive content creators to create free accounts, and content creators will feed our pipeline of original content that we can then distribute to the leading video platforms like iTunes, Netflix, and Amazon. And that's how we monetize our business. Film Break will offer the best digital distribution deals in the industry, leveraging a high-volume, low-margin business model. And our market is enormous. Digital revenues are projected to grow by more than 200% to almost $25 billion over the next 5 years, making it the fastest growing segment in the film industry. In terms of volume, more than 50,000 independent films are produced each year and growing, and on the other side of the equation, the number of video platforms is also exploding, and each platform has the same basic need: original content. So Film Break will act as an aggregator and will play the role of a middleman between content creators and the platforms, taking filmmakers from A to Z in the process. So let's take a look at the site. So here I'm logged into my personal homepage. I can see projects that are looking for people like me. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the Film Break commercials. It's a project I'm a part of. Now, because I'm part of the cast, I've got access to the Workspace tab where we've got all of our digital media in one place. I can collaborate with my team. It's kind of like Basecamp. On the Team tab, I can see my current cast and crew, if there are any open positions that we're recruiting for. The Funding tab is accessible to investors only. That's where I can say how much we're raising, percent funded. I can upload documents like budget breakdowns for investors to review. And finally, the Distribution tab is where I can partner with Film Break to get my film distributed online. We've got the complete solution, and we're going to change the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. And our last presenter today is Scott Nakama, and thank you. And the company is JSF, and the prototype is Splashu.
Hi, my name is Scott Nakama, and my company is a social network called Splashu. YouTube is the platform for videos. LinkedIn is the platform for professional networking. Splashu, a free social network, will become the world platform for all ratings, rankings, and votes. In Splashu, you could rate, rank, and vote anything from sports to politics to music. You can vote on who will win the presidential election to what team will win the Super Bowl, from dumbest character on the Jersey Shore to gay rights. In Splashu, you can rate or rank anything from iPhones to bars to Facebook applications to quality of professors. Currently, there's nothing like Splashu on the internet. All votes, top lists, and ratings are spread over the web for thousands of items. Splashu creates a central web page for all ratings and reviews. Now, competitors offer outdated polls that contain thousands of reviews that span over several years. Whereas Splash U, we offer current polls that are timed and give users a deadline to respond. Now, forget about long, tedious, anonymous surveys. In Splash U, you can generate concise, substantial opinions and see who said what. No nicknames and no one's anonymous. Splash U also allows you to meet others who share the same interests. Each rate, ranking, and vote contains a thread where you could post comments along with a chat room where you can debate with others who share the same interests. Now, what about businesses and celebrities? Now, let's say I'm Snooki from the Jersey Shore. I can ask my contributors to vote whether I should give Mike the situation a chance. Now I'm CNN. I can ask my contributors to give their ranking of the top 5 undecided states in this year's election. Now, liking my stuff just won't do. Tell me exactly what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Be a contributor. Have a voice in my decision. Your participation will go viral on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, how does Splash U make money? Splash U offers featured polls, virtual currency for users to purchase animation to make their polls more interactive, and an open application interface. We also offer a world message. Now, for example, my sister Aiko just got engaged. Now she wants to tell the whole world. Well, she can with the world message. The bidding starts from 30 seconds to 1 minute. Splash U launches on March 12th. Come check it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Okay, at this point, our judges will have 10 minutes to ask follow-up questions to any of the presenters to clarify their concept or ask other details that they think are pertinent to scoring.
You want us to hand these in first?
No, at this point, you will get to ask clarifying questions, which may alter your scoring.
Okay.
So let me know, or if you just want to shout out who you'd like to speak to. Ben?
Question for Elliot at Akashic. There's a lot of storage companies out there already, and there's some that are doing exactly what you're doing. I think there's SimForm, which gives out a lot of free storage. Can you talk about how you sort of get above that noise and how you compare it with everyone else?
Luckily, I actually have our chief scientist here today, Jason Volk, so he'll answer that question more clearly for you.
All right, the competition right now is using somewhat more inferior technology. SimForm will only, for example, they'll only use partners. They call them other corporate clients. And this is a more open system that anybody can use and anybody can participate in. It doesn't matter how much they want to store and how much they want to contribute. So we feel that, among other things, that our technology is just a bit more advanced and a bit more open for a global system, which doesn't exist yet.
Next question. John?
For Pronostic?
Pronostic?
I think that's right. What are things that you're trying to test in getting this thing launched? What was the, I think you mentioned you have some early customers.
Yes. For example, Audi. I'll bring that example.
I want to make.
So for media, they maintain a number of cars. They call it press fleet. So they loan them out to media. To hopefully the media will either generate stories, blogs, Twitter feeds, whatever, to drive awareness to the consumer. The problem with that is that they stop, when they measure their efforts, they stop at just impressions. So what I call it missing the last mile. How does all the impressions gain in the marketplace, either online or offline? How does that eventually translate to a sale down the road? So what I call it missing the last mile. So with that example, I'm able to relate quantitatively and the latency of it, exactly how, when you have a car loan out, you do see a spike or up cycle or down cycle in terms of car loans eventually show up on the sales side.
Now you say, are they a customer now?
They are a pilot customer, yes.
And how do you convert them to be a recurring customer?
because this is a new approach to look at things, what I would call it a finish line approach. So if you want to find causality on a human behavior, obviously there's a million of factors trying to do. What I'm trying to do is go to a finish line approach, is to use revenue as a filter, then look at all the upstream levers, and figure out basically the first step is a pattern match. If I can whittle down all the levers they pull that matches the sale, then have something cause of interest. So what I've done is let us try. It's a pay for pilot. We're going to do layer by layer because there's so many factors, as you know. So we're going to do layer by layer, just prove there's something cause of interest. And they're already asking me, what about all the other factors? I say, great, hold on to these questions because I'm going to charge you more on the next pilot or to become a customer. So I realize that there's a lot of factors to consider. But traditionally, they'll stop and said, well, that's too hard to do, and I won't do it. But what I'm trying to do is provide a pathway for them to get to the insights on what they do.
So let me follow up. So does this mean that your analytics get better and better the more campaigns you do because you're able to then filter out the various variables?
Yes, exactly. And keep in mind, too, it's always hinged upon the up and down cycles of your sales. So not only is it dynamic, it also can show any consumer behavior converges or diverges. Because it's not a particular, let's say, a consulting firm coming to look at your current data and past data, which is a snapshot of yesterday, which is great. But how are you going to move forward with that? So because it is dynamic linked, it's always will be able to detect a consumer tendency trends, if diverges or converges, something that you do.
So early on, the validation is lower, but later on, the validation is higher.
Yeah, it's a self-learning tool. So it's a feedback system. So you actually can still filter out. And let's say maybe example one is ranked lower this last 4 months. It may come out to be higher next month. That's where you get to see the convergence.
Okay.
Scott?
This one's for Stratasquare.
Stratasquare?
Hi. What is the barrier to entry for competitors to this? It seems like anybody could pull all of this information together.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of new entrants trying to do what we're doing. To be honest, we're a group of investors, and we didn't understand why people don't do it. We developed these tools that have these capabilities, and now we're really just translating this to web form. To a certain degree, we have the connections within the financial industry and asset management and, people on the team who are bankers and who have relevant experience that offers some kind of a edge with respect to knowledge. But that's a good question,
So if you're successful and people look at you and say, oh, this is a great idea, what would keep them from just replicating it?
Well, one of the things we benefit from is aggregating data. So the more users we have, the more data we can offer and the more analysis we can offer. So if you look at Mint.com right now, they offer great analytics on just the overall financial industry because they see everything that's going on. While we're targeting specifically investments, while Mint is doing just all financial accounts, we focus only on investments because no one seems to be paying attention to that side of the spectrum right now.
Okay, thank you. Before you sit down, how many users have you talked to who would indicate that if they had your product, they would switch?
We did a small survey of about 100 people right now, but switch from what? There's no other product. There's no other product on the market. There's a company called StatPro. I don't know if anyone here is from StatPro, but I've talked to people on their team, and their interface is primitive, it's cumbersome, and for a more professional usage, they charge $100 a month, and they're not even offering everything that we offer.
Thank you.
I have a question for Ran at iPredict. I'm just trying to figure out how much your technology goes beyond. It looks like you do displays, grid displays, but can it do like something like just a general page, or what is the bounds of your technology?
Right. So the blessing and the curse of this technology is that it really applies to any kind of visual display. So we started from grids because it's easy to automatically change them. But that's just the first step. It's still a very big market. We can also do it in the same ease with banner ads, right? And then we can go wider to web pages in general. The challenge is that as you go to a less and less constrained display, it's harder to change it automatically, right? Because you can make changes that would be nonsensical for people, but in a grid or in a banner ad, you can interchange them and you wouldn't affect other things.
Thanks. Follow up then. So how would you compete against the technologies that are actually showing the website to users and mapping their eye tracking with the site and then dynamically changing that and then remapping the eye tracking?
That's a good question. They're not in the same category, right? Because when you actually measure people's behavior, there are so many alternatives that you can test when you do that, right? Even if you are the biggest site on the internet, when they do A/B testing, or they usually test maybe 20 different alternatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to, if you look at the grid, if it has 5x4, let's say, items, you have 20 factorials options. So you wouldn't, I mean, that's astronomical. I mean, even with a computer, you can't test all the options. You have to use advanced heuristics to test just a subset, right? So for the particular problem that we chose to focus initially, there are no human-based measures that are practical to use.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
Another question for Akashic, two-part question. Can you characterize your service as it compares to the enterprise flash storage market? And then how do you plan to get distribution? Is it through pictures? Is it through partnering with another company?
We think that a powerful feature that we offer is the API and the ability for developers to write applications that need a storage backend. They would use our system instead of, say, the API for one of the existing data center-based cloud storage providers like S3 or Rackspace. They would have our system at their disposal. So we feel that that's a powerful market for us. Also, we could, ourselves, we make front-end applications that could do file sharing, photo sharing, video sharing, whatever. We have our own API at our own disposal as well. So.
Maybe a better way to frame it is, what would be the ideal person or adopter of this as a consumer?
It's pretty, there's a pretty wide range there. It could be a company, or it could be a personal small home office user that wants to back up data with one of our own programs, or it could be a company that has a large data set. It could be a university that has a physics program that wants to process or store large data sets as well. So it's pretty open.
Scott? I'll follow you. You'll go after me? Okay. A question for Splashu. Over there. So my question is, I'm kind of at a loss to what would compel someone to visit this website and do these surveys? I think about myself, and I don't understand why I would want to do one. I wrote it down like 3 times. So what draws people to the website, encourages them to create surveys or to participate in surveys?
Well, it gives users a chance to do something they can't do on Twitter or on Facebook. Closest alternative is Facebook question button. But in SplashU, we offer different ways where you can participate. You could add YouTube links, images. As you can see on Facebook, the questions feature is becoming very popular. A question is actually a form of a poll that's more qualitative. In SplashU, we're having users submit very concise opinions in the form of rank, rate, and a vote. And surveys are becoming very popular, as you can see. There's companies, PollGo, there's Vizu, and polls are becoming a lot more popular these days.
Okay.
John. Question 4, Darren. Film break. I was just, I was kind of struggling to figure out who the ideal user would be, and I presume it could be somebody that's trying to do a pilot for a TV sitcom or a TV situation or a feature movie that he might run as an independent. Is that the kind of the...
Sure. So our target demographic is independent filmmakers consisting of writers, directors, producers, content creators.
Across all the genres?
All genres, and could also be other formats, web series, shorts. Initially, we're targeting independent filmmakers with budgets of $50,000 to $1 million.
And that goes where? Where would that show up if I was a consumer, I wanted to watch it?
We're going to get that distributed to the leading platforms, Pure Plays, Amazon, iTunes, Hulu. There's device makers, Boxy, Roku, as well as Comcast, Xfinity, and the number of
How many of those have you talked to?
We're in talks with Apple. Our application is in process, and we also have relationships with Amazon and Hulu.
That would have been a really good point to make.
Sure.
A question for Protrata. Can you talk a bit about the competitors on the market and how you're differentiating?
In terms of competitors for aggregation, part of Protrata, we're not really aware of anybody. I think it's like Domainfest, for example, who might be a competitor. We provide a lot of data and actually do the bid management itself. So we can actually do bids straight to GoDaddy or NameJet. In terms of the semantic website builder, we're not aware of any competitors on that side. There's been plenty of scalable web development companies over the past few years. I think we're all aware of who they are and the challenges they've had. And I think the template base and the IP sharing that we do now solves all those problems. Each of the site we do has dynamic code. It's very relevant to the user. So the content and the advertising is very matched. So for example, TomCruiseMovies.com, we know it's Tom Cruise, the human being, Tom Cruise, the actor, and all the products relevant to Tom Cruise.
What is your average revenue per site? You have 50,000 sites on?
Yeah, we actually have more than that, but that's what's in development right now.
Okay.
It depends on the keyword, how much search term, whether it's a travel site, for example. We do feeds with Expedia. So it depends on what type of keyword, what type of domain we've built. For example, last week we sold 2 digital televisions off the back of these sites. Commission was about $150 for each sale, so that's $300. We also do lead generation as well. So we're selling leads at whatever price that might be, $65, or depends on the category again.
Great, Ben, let's do one more question here.
Yeah, a quick question for Babafoo, John. I just wanted to better understand your revenue model in terms of, are you charging the athletes money, or are you doing this? Are you doing advertising?
So it's completely free for the athletes, and we're going to be able to do revenue shares. We're in talks with some companies that are one company's able to measure athletic ability, and we'd be able to share in revenue with them. And one way, we already have an infrastructure built for, I had mentioned that we're going to be able to connect high school athletes and their parents with useful resources. So just like a high school athlete has a profile page, what we found is you have personal coaches, personal trainers, SAT tutors, academic advisors, that they're able to have a profile. They have, all these guys try to make money on the side, and they have websites that are not kept up well, and they pay $100, $150 a month. They can come to us for $10, $15 a month. We'll maintain it. They have everything they need on there. They're searchable within their target audience, which is the high school athletes and their parents, and at the same time, they are able to have an outward-looking presence, and anyone who signs up, we're able to partner with some business card companies to provide them with their own URL and basically their own website that's searchable on the website and outward-looking presence.
An additional question for him.
Sure. Go ahead, Scott.
So I had some trouble trying to figure out why an athlete wouldn't just stick with Facebook, which they're familiar with, and posting all their stuff. But maybe I can answer my own question and tell me if I'm right. Is the reason they do this is because you're providing a filtered platform that allows someone who's interested in the athlete or the athlete population to search for all basketball players or all basketball players in a particular geography. Is that the value of this?
Well, the value is two things. One value is to help the kids themselves. There was actually a high school football player recently who got most of his scholarships taken away for some things he had written on Twitter. And so if coaches wanted to go to Facebook or Twitter, all of these kids, and we've talked to and seen hundreds, they have profiles that they will mix in, a highlight video amongst all of their other social activities that can get them in trouble with coaches. So just like the adult population has gone to LinkedIn to look for jobs, they need to do it in a more professional manner. And on the flip side, with the coaches and fans, it's one easy place to search for athletes. And if I'm looking to see a highlight video or an article, I don't have to go to 6 different websites. For instance, there are high school athletes right now with their top highlight videos of a highlight play, 1.5 million views on YouTube. And they have videos, articles all over the internet. And instead of coaches having to go to 10 different places, they can go to one site. And it brings value to not only kids on the cusp of getting recruited, but we've talked to major D1 colleges, and even if they've already been recruiting a kid, if they've known about them, they would still want to use our site because they can keep tabs on what they're doing and see how they did in the last game, how they did in the last practice. So before they call them, they're going to know what's been going on.
Aren't there specialized sites for volleyball players in different verticals?
Yes. And so
how do you differentiate from those?
So how we differentiate is what we're able to do, like I was saying, the athletes with all these views on YouTube, all these other sites, the traditional recruiting website just focuses on about 1% to 2% of high school athletes who have not yet been discovered and they're trying to get noticed. But all the traffic, so our site provides that, but all the traffic that can be generated comes from these top athletes like LeBron James, who they've been discovered since they were in 7th grade, but now our site gets to put all of their information in one place and drives the traffic to view all their videos, their stats, their information, and it helps them build their brand at a younger age and control the exposure they're getting so they don't get themselves in trouble on Facebook and Twitter.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to do a round of applause to all of our presenters. That was great. Okay, at this point, we're going to collect the scores from the judges, and while we do that, the audience will actually vote via text message, or I think we also have a URL here that's being flashed up on the screens. Submit your total score, who you think deserves the People Choice Award. So just simply text, if you have a text, and it looks like you can go to the URL address there as well. But submit your vote, and we will show who the people have voted for.
Whoop.
Now, as this is being calculated, I do want to highlight, it is in the directories that we passed out as part of the agenda for the show, but we do have really a distinguished group of judges here, so I hope the entrepreneurs and people who are presenting understand the value of being able to be in front of this group. Jeff, who was actually a former overseas employee, I think a while ago, is a very successful and serial entrepreneur here in Southern California, so he firsthand knows the challenges of trying to launch a new market. Scott Jarus is both an entrepreneur and investor. He was the former CEO of J2 Global Communications, which was a publicly traded company, and he took that to great heights. And he's current CEO of Ironclad. He also happens to be an overseas board member. Ben, I wake up every day to Ben, and I don't mean that in the way that sounds, but I wake up every day to Ben with the SoCal Tech newsletter, which he founded. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I would encourage you to sign up. It's an awesome source of what's going on in Southern California. Again, SoCal Tech newsletter. He does an amazing job with that. And John Morris, who has a really deep and rich background in investment banking, venture capital. He was also chair of the Tech Coast Angels, and he's currently the chair of Vistage International in LA. I happen to be in his chapter. He is my mentor, and he leads a networking group for CEOs to help through development issues. So thank all our panelists and judges for being here. So while this is being, you can see real time as votes come in, we can see how the People's Choice Award is netting out. But would our judges like to give any general feedback to the group who presented about how to be more clear, more compelling, and to put together a better pitch for similar type competitions? John?
I've been thinking about this. It's a wonderful opportunity to watch your peers come up and be very vulnerable about giving a 3-minute presentation about something they're very passionate about, and it's really important. Your elevator pitch is probably one of the most underrated things that you do in your business. You have to use that with your customers, your key employees, your key team members. Every one of you should have a very 90-second or less elevator pitch that's really, really important. And when you get a chance to talk to investors or people that are interesting, be very careful about demos or going to the website or how it works. Don't get caught up in how it works, because the investor or the customer doesn't care. He wants to know it works. He's not interested in the plumbing, but it's interested in what is it in it for me? Did it solve my problem? So make sure when you do an elevator pitch, you get to the pain point really quickly, early on,
size the market, tell me how you solve it, so I know, am I talking about a cure for cancer or a vitamin? And if it's not something I really need, this isn't a very compelling proposition. So be really thinking about that, because people that want to join your company want to know this is a cool place to work and you're solving a painful problem and you're spot on. And that you've also differentiated it, and as an investor, and all four of us are affiliated here with the Tech Coast Angels in Southern California. Ben is a sponsor, and Scott and I and Jeff are members. We see that a lot, and we're always pointing out what is it you can validate. Get me comfortable about the hypothesis, and really hone in on what's the beachhead and why there's points of validation. That gets really interesting.
John, is there anyone in particular that you felt did the best job on that front?
Well, several of them were struggling because they were basically saying, we're building this and it's going to work. Trust me. And that doesn't work very well. And you got 3 minutes. I want to know early on, what is it about your business model that you have proven that I can get some comfort in? And then I can start, it's how when you ask somebody for a cup of coffee and it turns into lunch? That was a real successful meeting because you gave them information and they were interested. If this pitch doesn't work, it's coffee and you're done.
Ben, what would you...
Yeah, one thing I noticed about all these pitches, almost all of them, is I didn't get one thing that almost all investors look at, which is who are you and why do you know this business? And that's a hard one because we only get 3 minutes to learn about you. And first, and actually this is to John's point, is what is it about what you're doing that validates that you know how to do this? Do you know this domain? Do you know what business you're into? Do you know how this works? And I think that was something that I wished I saw more in here. So,
Scott?
Well, I think you're going to hear a repetitive message as you listen to us, but I cannot overemphasize how important an elevator pitch is, to John's point. And John and I in particular have been, and I don't know if Jeff has, but we've been coaches and judges for the Tech Coast Angels Fast Pitch Competition. In addition, I do one for nonprofit organizations. And if you think you can get up and talk about your company in a minute and a half or 3 minutes, just impromptu, I can guarantee you that you're wrong. There just aren't that many people that can do that. So I encourage every entrepreneur that I work with or mentor, and it's one of the things I do when I start a new business or take over a new business, is stand in front of a mirror and hone your elevator pitch to it's really crisp and it's casual and it doesn't seem like you're reading it. I can give you one very brief personal event. I was on a flight to London and I happened to sit one row behind Richard Branson. Now, Richard travels incognito until the plane is in the air, and then he's all over the place because it's his airline. It was Virgin Atlantic that I was on. I literally got 3 minutes to tell him about an idea that I had for him, and if that hadn't been crisp and clear, it wouldn't have resulted in a follow-up call with him, and then a lunch with one of his people, and then ultimately some business opportunities. So you never know when it's going to happen, and you need to be ready for it. So I wrote down kind of a 5-bullet synopsis of what your elevator pitch should say, and I think you've heard some of this. Tell them who you are, describe the need and the pain point that you're trying to solve, tell them what you do, tell them how you're going to do it, and tell them how you're going to make money out of it, all in 90 seconds or 3 minutes. If you can accomplish that, you've made it past the cup of coffee, you've made it to lunch, then you get to tell them for a half hour what you do, and if you make it past that, then you can send them the business plan, which they will now be encouraged to read.
I would add you would have a 10-second pitch, a 30-second pitch, and so on, depending on the circumstances, because somebody will say at a cocktail party or a networking event like this, what do? They're not there for 3 minutes. They want to get it in 30 seconds or less. So have that answer.
Great suggestion.
And just to dovetail on Scott, I've listened to thousands of pitches over the years, and what I'm always doing in the first 30 seconds is sizing you up. What have you done? Where are you in that business formation process? in today's world, 90% of the companies here probably have to bootstrap and grow and do it on their own dime. And I think it's important to leave the presentation with what are you looking for from the audience, and know the audience and what you want to get to accomplish coming out of here. So I think it's important to really be focused and know that, hey, if we're raising angel, if we're raising venture, but I want to know exactly, do you have X amount of customers? You've put X amount of money into the deal. You've been doing it for a certain period of time, because then it provides you more credibility, and then I will listen more succinctly.
I guess what I'd add to follow up, you can add a sixth bullet to what I said. The last one is just as, what's the ask? What are you asking for from the person you're telling it to? Could be just an introduction, could be money, could be guidance, could be anything, but what's the ask?
Thank you very much. And thanks for the attendees here who voted. And I think at this point, the results will be clear for People's Choice. As you can see on the board, Baba Fu is the People's Choice Award. So please come on up. Aaron, do you have the winning judges' votes at this point? Okay. So as Aaron is pulling this together, any other thoughts? Maybe highlight some of the things that the presenters did well. For example, I'll just start. One of the things I thought Baba Fu did well is they framed the business in a way that made it very easy to understand. LinkedIn for high school sports. Well, everyone understands LinkedIn. Everyone understands high school sports. So I think it really captured very quickly, and I could frame it in my mind, I understand what I'm going to listen to. And so I thought that was a great example, and potentially one of the reasons.
That's a great example of a word picture that opens the conversation.
Yeah.
And I circled that as well when I said that, because I said, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Any others?
Yeah, and I think what I'm listening for is I want to hear a pitch that I really don't understand. Because if I don't understand it, it's probably something, and that's that the cloud computing company. I want to learn more after listening to that presentation, because I really don't understand it. If I don't understand it, it's probably a space that's cutting edge and up and coming. If I do understand it, there's a chance that it's probably not going to fall into that, call it venture capital, high growth bucket. It's one of those companies that's already been done before or already has a saturated market. So.
Well, let me kind of take this a little bit different in that I'm not quite sure, because it wasn't really in the pitches, as to what people are looking for in the form of capital raise, whether they're looking for angel investing. I will tell you that over lunch and a couple conversations, there seemed to be this idea that I want to go out and raise money from venture capital. And John and I had a conversation before this that, I think one of the messages that I would like to give, and perhaps others here, is that with these new ideas, with these new businesses, it's really important to hold off on raising money until you absolutely have to. And at each inflection point for that, to always go for the least expensive money. And venture capital, by the way, is probably the most expensive money that you can get out there. So I would encourage people who haven't gone through this before, bootstrap it as long as you can, and then friends and family as long as you can, and then angels as long as you can, and really the very last piece should be to look at venture capital. Venture capital is expensive both in how much you're going to pay for that money in the long run. It's expensive on the dilution factor, on how much of the company you have to give away. So I'm very excited about the entrepreneurial spirit in Southern California in general, but I just encourage everyone to build your company with the least amount of money possible, and only go for external money when you absolutely have to.
Yep. So the only other two comments I'll make, Ron, one of the things I loved about your presentation up front is you really qualified. There's no question you're an expert. And so that gave context that, hey, listen, these are my credentials, therefore I know what I'm doing. And I think that's a really important and powerful aspect to a pitch. Also, the market viability was clear. If you can increase click-through rates by 3x, which is what you're suggesting. Clearly, there's going to be a lot of applications for that. The one thing that wasn't clear, though, is the differentiation. How are you going to be different? So I don't know where you are, Ron, but that was one comment. And the last I would say is, Darren, I actually thought your pitch was great. You stated really clearly the problem, and then you followed that with a solution. And that, I think, gets to some of the things that the judges were talking about. The one thing I kept waiting to hear, though, is how big is that market? From what I know about film, the independent film market doesn't have a lot of dollars in it. So that's one thing you might want to pay attention to in your next pitch. So now we do have the voting for our judges award and opening the envelope. It was extremely close voting, I'm told. And the winner goes to Elliot Labriche for the cloud computing company, Akashic.
Oh my God. You're kidding.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, panelists, and we can discuss more about investment opportunities after this outside. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
At this point, we're running a little bit over, so we'll go ahead and wrap this session up, but we are segueing in. Aaron, we're going to the next session? Okay. I do want to thank our esteemed judges for your participation and time. We are very fortunate to have these guys here, and again, thank all the presenters. So one last round of applause. Now, our next presentation is Public Policies Impacting Domain Investors, and it features Phil Corwin, who's counsel for the International Commerce Association, and Jeremiah Johnston, who's general counsel for CEDO, and our very own Todd Green, who is senior vice president and general counsel for Oversee. So welcome to those panelists when they come up.